We are recording. There we go.
All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the show. Thank you so much for tuning in today. We have a very awesome guest for you, Oksana Esberard. She is a mental wellness expert, a meditation coach, international speaker, and author. She is the founder of Sattva Me, a global virtual training organization focused on stress management and mindfulness. Mm-hmm. After overcoming various struggles, Oksana has shared her story in the best-selling book, Next Level You. Oksana, thank you so much for coming on our show today and taking the time out of your day. How are you doing today?
I'm fantastic. How are you guys?
We're great. We're great. Yeah, thanks, Oksana. I really appreciate you coming on our show. Now, are you in Seattle? Where are you right now?
Seattle area, yes, Bellevue. So we're finally in the same time zone. I was so excited to be close to you and visit you in Vancouver sometime. Well,
I know we're close. we're really close. We're only, if you're in Bellevue, yeah, we're maybe 2 hours, 2 hour drive. You know, yeah. Bellevue's a great spot. Good choice. I love Bellevue. It's a really nice area. And then Oksana, you came up from Florida, which is. I saw your little trek. That was really cool, what you did. So on our show here, what we do first is we do something called Two Truths and a Lie. So Devin and I are going to have to guess. I'm going to read these two truths and one lie. Yep. And we're going to have to guess which is the lie. Okay.
Alrighty.
All right. So ready, Dev? Okay.
I'm ready.
So number one, here we go. I have volunteered and taught mindfulness in a women's prison. That's pretty cool. I have been arrested myself while being a mindfulness trainer. That's pretty good. Okay. Number three, I meditated in the wilderness of India, the USA, Asia, Latin America, and Russia.
Oh, man. Oh, man.
So what do you think, Dev?
Seems also real. I'm not too sure. Let's go with the second one, getting arrested. Or you know what? No. I think you've been arrested before. Let's go with the first one, just because let's just put that one in there. Yeah.
I don't know what kind of image I project, but thank you. I think you've been arrested multiple times in your life.
I think you should. Yeah, I think you seem a little.
Man, it's kind of funny because the first one, I'm looking at it. I volunteered and taught mindfulness at a women's prison. Well, see, I know she probably did that because Oksana and I were actually in prison together.
That's out of context.
Yeah. So we were doing some volunteer work with your mom, Reiko, and myself, and a whole group of people in a prison in Northern California. So that's got to be true. So I don't know. I mean, they all seem to be true to me. I don't know. Okay, I got to go. I meditated in the wilderness of, I got to pick just one of them out of here. I just say maybe not Latin America. But all of the other ones, yes. So what's the lie?
Devin won. So I was supposed to volunteer in women's prison, and I knew that's gonna throw you off. That's why I put it in there. I did men's prisons only, and I wanted to volunteer in the women's prisons, and I was starting to figure that out. And then COVID hit, so everything shut down. So I didn't have to do it yet. But men's prisons, volunteered 100%. Women's prison, no. But yes, I've traveled to 55 plus countries around the world. So I meditated in the places that most people don't even get to see. So all of those countries are true.
Wow. That's incredible. Yeah. So I don't know where to start here. You got such a great, I mean, I loved your backstory. I've read your book. Reiko and I have both read your book. It's a great book. And the things in your book that really kind of drew me in, which I didn't know about you, was your backstory. Your backstory was absolutely fantastic, and mesmerizing. Being born in was it Eastern Russia? Where were you? Were you born and raised in the
East?
Yeah, out. Do you want to talk a little bit? I want to know just a little bit about that because it's fascinating where you came from.
Sure. Well, in a nutshell, I'm a cowgirl. I grew up in a very remote area, and actually across the Pacific Ocean from where we're at right now. That's why I think I returned back more to my origin to be closer to that, woodsy environment. And I'm literally a mountain girl, small town in the middle of nowhere, Soviet Union, Russia. So there's not so much culture of traveling or connectivity before the internet. So all you do is just wander in nature a lot. You grow your own food, you take care of the farm animals, and obviously we had schools and education and that, but most I would disappear in this wilderness and really spent a lot of time meditating, which I didn't know at that time, right? It was just natural. That's what you do. You just zone out.
And you would wander barefoot and really ground yourself in the earth, right?
I barely wore shoes. Like I would wear shoes in the town, inside the city, you have to, but outside, no, I could like run on stones and be okay with that. Not anymore. And yes, and so when I was 16, I first time came to the US. I won a scholarship, and that's kind of set the ground for my international travel and the passion. And I figured out the world is much bigger than what they show you in geography.
Yeah.
And I had this globe, that plastic globe that I like to like swing around, but you don't cognize it from just looking at the books or looking at the maps. Once you actually start putting the hours to cross the world, that's when you start to see how vast it is.
Yeah. So when you were a young kid and you were walking out in the field in the forest in Russia and you were barefoot, do you think, because I think this is something similar with me too, because as a young kid, I used to climb mountains and sit on the top of mountains, and I didn't know what meditation was. I just used to sit in peace and I guess meditate. Is that what you feel you were always connected to something like that? Because you're deeply into meditation now and teaching. And so when you were a kid and you were out there, there must have been some early connection for you. Right? Have you ever thought about that?
I thought about it backwards, especially as I was writing my book, that I had it naturally. I mean, it was a gift. You don't kind of get to choose where you're born, right? So a lot of people born in the city and they never experience that from early age. I was in a crib with my parents outside in nature, and they were doing gardening from day one, like wasn't even an option. And so, but I only realized that I had it when I lost it. So when I moved to the city, I moved to Moscow for like ginormous city, one of the biggest cities in the world.
Yes.
Not only by the population, but just how spread out it is. And there's really little connection with nature there. It's metropolitan, and then it's surrounded by all these satellite cities, and it's flat, and the nature is really depressed in there from all this development. And so I didn't realize it, but I started to experience depletion of that groundiness. And it just started to result and manifest in all this mental imbalances, the anger issues, depression, frustrations, insecurities. And again, I only could see it looking backwards. And then when I got to the United States, again, Miami, New York, and Miami is not the worst on the scale of nature, but if you look at the map, the Florida map, it's actually developed. Even the cities, they don't really have boundaries. Like here in Bellevue and Seattle and Washington State, you actually have boundaries. You have hills. So you can see one city ended, another city. In Florida, there's none. It's just flat and it all after the other. And then you have Everglades that you barely go to. There's nothing
right.
You as a human being. And so when you get taken away what you were taking for granted, you start in hindsight see, oh, I was actually really, really lucky being born in the middle of nowhere. That served me well. I have the baseline. The groundiness.
And then from your book, I remember you were very, you were grounded in Russia. Then you came to the United States, and you were at a homestay, I think. And then you ended up in Florida and South Beach and I guess all that area. And then that dragged you down a bit of a spiral. Hey, you thought that was what everybody wanted, and that was beauty, and but it was actually, you found out that was it was actually false. But it was a really hard knock for you, wasn't it?
Well, I don't define it as false.
Right,
I was
right.
following it because someone else told me that's what I wanted.
Right.
So if you realize that that's what makes you happy, and we all get happy by different things.
Sure.
I get actually much happier if I'm in a nice new home versus destroyed shack. Like whatever, how mindful I am, I don't want to live in a destroyed shack. This is just not what makes me feel safe and secure. But there are some people that they don't want even their walls painted. They just feel the more raw it is, the better it is, right? So the material hunt is not about, the hunt itself, but what makes you happy. And once you realize that, going after those points is not a bad thing. You know yourself and you know why you're doing it. And it comes with integrity of your desire and effort. Right. Versus a lot of people, how we are taught is, this is what you need. You need school. You need college. You need to drive this car. This is the new model of the cell phone. And all these triggers are imposed on us, which creates stress, because if I don't have an innate intrinsic motivation and desire to achieve that, then it's not sustainable. It's not fulfilling once you get there, and you just keep moving the bar. Right. So my mistake was to not really ground myself and realize, what does Oksana want? Like, what is that life that she wants? But rather come to this country, and the first thing you hear is, you're an immigrant, American dream, go. And that's what I did.
Right.
I burned out really badly.
Right. Oh my gosh. And then, then the power of meditation. We know what I really noticed. So Oksana, I met at a conclave in Boston at MIT called the Gathering of Titans. It's an entrepreneurial conclave. And Oksana was a speaker, was it a year ago? And it was interesting because I would say it's 80% or 90% men and, 10 or 15% women. And so you have all these A-type entrepreneurial guys all in a room. And then Oksana comes and she stands at the front of the class and she says, we're going to meditate. And everybody goes, oh, come on, meditate. So we all had to close our eyes and we had to take these deep breaths. You made us take these deep breaths and then hold our breaths. And there was quiet in the room, and there was this energy. I felt it anyway. There was this incredible energy of all these people together doing the same thing in meditation. And then you told us to open our eyes and take a deep breath and look around. And we were all in this incredible state of just peace and quiet, and which I don't think I've ever seen with this group. And it was extremely powerful. This meditation that you had for us, and then you had breakout sessions, and we did some morning meditations with you. So that's what you're doing. So now what you're doing is you're going into businesses and groups around the world, and you're teaching the power of meditation, which is really something that I don't think has ever really been done in that space before, in the big business and the entrepreneurial groups. And do you want to share a little bit of light on what you're doing there? Because for me, it's very powerful.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for that feedback. That I don't think we got a chance to share this and have that conversation. So it's good to revisit the impact that it made on you and on others. If you recall, though, I made you guys do a lot of breathing, which I called quite aggressive breathing. It wasn't just sitting quietly and meditating. I made you do like,
oh yeah,
like go this, go that, like let's go, people. I was yelling at you like a personal trainer, because I realized that, if I come in like a wonderful butterfly in this room of type A personalities, just your energy is gonna run over me. So I had to put it into like, I can put you out of breath by just make you breathe a certain way. And that's what I did. And then afterwards, there was that silence and that stillness. We rose the energy. We went almost like we went for a run, being still. And then from that place, everybody just chilled. Everybody was just like, okay, don't make her do anything again. I'd rather sit still and do as she said, right? So I kind of demanded that respect by alternating your energy through the breathing, through the movement first.
Yes.
And that's what kind of in a nutshell I'm doing inside the companies. Because you cannot come in with people that are driven and stuck in their logic mind, and that's what business environment is. It's like ABC, tell me 1, 2, 3 step that's going to deliver to this result, this bottom line, this task. And when you come into them and say, well, you're stuck and you're not creative and you're not connected because you don't sit still, they're going to be like, oh, go away.
Yeah.
Like, you know, come and meditate and your problem's going to be solved. They're going to be like, yeah, right. We got stuff to do, lady. So, okay. So instead, what I do, the end result is to lead people to what I call meditative awareness. And that doesn't necessarily mean you need to sit in meditation and quiet for hours. You actually can get there even while movement, but you need to know what you're looking for. And in that meditative awareness, that's where you create integration between the whole brain coherence, between your heart space and emotional connotation. That's where the biggest why, or why you're doing it, that intrinsic motivation, that engagement that employers are so looking for. Well, the people are not engaged because they don't have their personal why. The company has the why and the values. The leaders have, they constantly hammer it down. But the lower line employees, usually they're there for the paycheck. And studies show that it's not intrinsically motivating. Money has never been intrinsically motivated. So what I'm coming in and doing as right now in this time as an umbrella of wellness, mental wellness, is literally first helping people to de-stress, because you cannot enter into that state when your hormones, your brain, your whole body is just screaming survival. Then we use awareness to understand how is our nervous system being impacted, like the same thing, right? We did all this exercises so you can connect to just feeling inside, because we're so outward oriented all the time. So I'm bringing their attention and I'm saying, forget about the outside for a little bit, look what's going on there. And then what people usually see is a bunch of thoughts, a bunch of urges, a bunch of ding, 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 next to-do lists and nonstop schedules. And that's discomforting. That's when they're like, you know, why am I sitting here with you when I have so much to do? And that's where I come in with education and I say, you know, this is the studies on focus. This is the studies on productivity. This is the studies on stress. This is the studies on engagement, mindfulness, connection. This is why you need to pay attention to me. And they're kind of like, their logic brain is like, oh, okay, we kind of see your point. And then we go again back to practice. And then the more reinforced we are doing it. So the majority of times right now, I'm actually doing the programs. So the more we go to the reinforcement now, the more people are relaxed because they know they're not wasting their time with me. They're investing it to switch from their stuckness and old patterns to creating that more integration of that life and work that everybody's so longing for right now. And so meditation usually comes as the last component because unfortunately people are not ready to start with meditation. I wasn't either. Just the world is so fast charging right now that it's too much of a drop and say, you know, you're going 100 miles per hour, stop. That's unsafe. You need to gradually reduce the speed.
It's interesting that you said that because I've had a coach for, 15, 20 years. His name's Kevin Lawrence. And I've been working with him forever. And we were working through all these different things to kind of get Nigel on track. And he said, you know, Nigel, you know, I've done yoga, I do all this. He said, but, you know, his master, or whoever that was, says, you know, the one thing that can really help ground you and what is meditation. I'm like, oh my gosh, meditation takes too long. I can't sit and I don't have time. But after going to GOT last year and then reading your book, we had our COVID hit. And my wife and I, Reika, we were at Whistler. And every day we would start meditating, and we would meditate in the evening, we'd meditate in the morning, and and then we'd spend a lot more time out in nature, and just the calm and the clarity in our life. It was incredible. So now I understand what Kevin Lawrence was telling me years before that. And then I came back down to Vancouver, and then Devin was practicing. Actually, Devin, you were, I don't know, when you were 16, you were down in Peru and you did some meditation, but breathing, right?
Yep.
Right. Some heavy breathing
Sure.
in Peru. And Devin was telling me all about that. And so then when I came back down to Vancouver, Devin's like, hey, have you heard of this Wim Hof meditation and breathing? And you probably know this Wim Hof, crazy Dutchman, right? Oksana, you've heard of him?
Yeah, actually, I saw him live too.
Say that again?
I saw him live too at Tony Robbins' event. I confirm he is crazy.
Yeah, I know. It's funny because I was in New York after a GOT probably 15 years ago with Reiko, and there was a guy in an ice thing, and all these people crowded around him, and I took some pictures, and I realized after reading his book that was actually him breaking the world record for staying in ice, and we actually witnessed it, and I didn't even realize that's what it was. So the meditation has been incredible. So I've been doing the breathing and now meditating, and I've been doing the breathing, and now we've been doing the cold water plunges. So every day, I'm getting out. We have a pool. We're lucky we have a pool, but the temperature is 6 degrees centigrade. And I've been going in every day, work my way up, doing the breathing, meditative breathing, and I'm up to about 12 minutes. And then on Sunday, Devin and I, what do we do on Sunday, Dev?
Oh yeah, we went down to Lynn Canyon. So it's like the canyon that's fed by the glaciers and the mountains, right? So it's just freezing water. And now we're like, well, we're gonna go do a plunge with our other guest, Daniel Fox. So we go on in there and we jump on in, and yeah, it was pretty cold. Nigel's in there for about 12 minutes. So, yeah.
But I have to say, what Oksana taught was the breathing. It got me into this piece of calmness, and I was in this meditative state, and I was in the cold water. That's fine, but I was in this pace of meditation. It was bliss, and I came out, and for the next 8 or 9 hours of the day, it's incredible the effect. 8 or 9, I'm calm, and I do it every day now. And so I want to thank Oksana for starting this whole journey off for me. And it's never going to end because I'm going to keep trying all these different methods and things. But absolutely, and I think for me, what Kevin said to me years ago, he said, meditation is the thing. And I'm, whatever. It was just trying a little bit of it. And then with your book, it really, really helped. It really grounded everything in your book and showed us some tips on how to do it and keep doing it. And it's like anything, consistency, you just have to keep doing it. And it's totally changed my life, Reiko's life, Devin, we all meditate. So it's amazing.
Who planted the seeds? I call it planting seeds. You find things when you're ready. If somebody would tell me everything that I know now back then, I wouldn't be ready. I wouldn't hear it. Probably people told me too. Kevin told you about meditation way before you found me, but then it found you anyway, because that was the journey, because that's actually what helps everyone. But we are open and accepting to these things when we are open and accepted to it, when we are ready to move that next step. So for you, it happened to be that event in GOT and the book. And that's why I speak and I do this engagement all around the world to see when it's going to hit people, with enough reinforcement. At some point you will hear me and you will test it and you'll try it. And experience is very important. So that's why we started with experience of that. So you have that, you will remember the feeling. You might not remember anything of what I said in there, but you remember the calmness.
Yes, that's a beautiful way to put it. That's a really, it's so true. It's the calmness. And people I've had lots of Zoom calls with our friend Jamie's a shaman, a Peruvian shaman. And there's this right now in the world, it's a really, really difficult time, but there is a calmness and there's a quiet. And if we're able to, immerse ourselves in that, there is some good out of this very difficult time. And it's just that, we have to find it. Devin, do you remember we were in Bhutan several years ago? and there were monks that were meditating, and they were in caves up in the side of the mountain. Do you remember that?
Yep.
We climbed up and hiked up, and there was these monks. They had been meditating in these caves for 3 years.
Silent
3 years in silent meditation.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't fathom that. I mean, I couldn't do 3 years, but I've started to understand. And I'm just scratching the surface of this whole thing. So it's just it's wonderful. So Dev, do you have anything? If you were.
Oh yeah. So I'd like to ask you a question. So if we can take you back to, let's say, like a younger version of yourself, and let's say put yourself in the shoes of like the youth today, what would be your biggest point and your biggest game-changing experience that you would, a little bit of knowledge for people?
How young are we going back?
Let's say like 20s, let's say 23.
Yeah. That was my most lost age. That's when I came to the United States. That's when I kept moving and pushing. I would just say to that, very driven, very motivated, because I feel that the youth is driven and motivated to do good. It's just oriented, and there's a lot of energy in youth, right? There's just naturally, you have the energy, you have the exuberance. At that time, because of the traumas and the dramas that I've experienced in my life, I was very closed and very egocentric. I didn't believe in teams. I didn't believe in connection with other people. I just believed that, and personal survival, type A, anybody else, if you are very strong and driven, they're going to weight you down. They're not. They're going to be like a baggage for you that you need to carry on top. And I would just say to her now to open up to the acceptance of help with other people and use the connection instead of pushing so hard by yourself all the time. Instead of just making it happen by yourself, utilize the resources and gifts of others for the common good. It cannot be self-driven. So for me, it was all self-driven, and therefore, nobody wants to work for your goals and dreams. But if you make those motivation and inspirations grander than yourself, that you is included in that it benefits the whole, but it benefits you too. Right. So if you orient yourself on good of the planet, whatever variation that is for you, and you learn that you don't need to be alone in getting there, you actually can team up with people that are passionate about the same good of the planet that you feel inspired towards, you will get there faster with less effort. And you will enjoy the ride, because that common shared experience, that's what us as human beings are all about. The human beings are about socializing and not isolation. And so engaging, letting others join you on a dream, because I think right now we have the crisis of the dreams and the crisis of connection. And so everybody dreams of something, but because they feel so damn lonely all the time, they don't execute on anything because it's unsurmountable. It's like you cannot do it by yourself, and then you give up before even trying. So sharing openly with everyone of what are you working on, what are you inspired, and welcoming others' input and contributions, and kind of teaming up.
Yeah. Wow. Amazing.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's really, actually, I forgot that I had this, but I am going to share. Where's my screen here for a second? So I've got a couple of pictures for people that are listening on Spotify, and I can describe, or Devin can describe them. So I'm assuming like this is a photo that I got from Oksana. I'm assuming this is probably a photograph of you teaching one of your sessions. I don't know where. Could be in India, could be in California or Florida. I don't know.
That's actually India, and this was the training that I took. I wasn't teaching there, but we were dancing. So
you're dancing, yeah, looks fantastic.
Yeah, we were just going crazy. And one of the practices. You know, when people think about meditation and how to reach the calmness and the quietness, they think about the stillness, closing your eyes, going inward. Actually, yes, this is one of the practices, but another way to reach that calmness and stillness is ecstatic movement.
Yes.
So if you dance, if you move, I mean, David, you do that all the time, and you look pretty calm to me. So if you let the energy move and express itself, and it's not about being pretty, it's about going crazy bananas with your hands and legs all over the place, but shaking up all that stagnation inside you, just shaking up the molecules so they can release the energetic charge, and then sit still after that. That's like the most profound stillness and calmness. So this was one of the practice where we were just running around like crazy monkeys all over the place. And you know, we sit still, or we get in the community in a circle and we just quiet. And
that's fantastic.
Express ourselves.
And there's the quiet here. This is the quiet.
Yeah, this is kind of different things.
I got a few photos. Yeah. So Oksana, yeah, she's so I guess this is you were motorbiking around. I don't know if you're heading north. I don't know where you were going, but so your motorbike gear, and then I guess the other day you ran into a horse.
Well, the motorbike, cool. The picture that you have is actually in the Indian Himalayas. Oops. I was there last year.
Oh, that's right. You're in the Himalayas.
I haven't got a chance to ride the bike here yet because I didn't know the roads enough to be comfortable, so I'll ride in spring for sure. But yeah, the horse is actually just this recently. He just wanted to steal a kiss. He was like in my face.
And then there's a really interesting program that we were so fortunate to be invited to go. And Oksana was there, myself, and then a bunch of our classmates from Boston. And we went into a high security prison in Northern California, and we did a little bit of volunteer work for a few days. And there's a photograph of Oksana there with the incarcerated men. It was a very humbling experience. I personally cried quite a bit during this period. I don't know what to say. It was really eye-opening. But after the 2 or 3 days, to see kind of the joy and the hope back in the eyes of these men was really liberating for me. And to hear some of their stories was amazing. So, and Oksana has been doing some work in prisons. You actually, after this event, I think you told me you went to a prison on the East Coast, which was a lot. It was a lot more difficult for you, I think. There,
South Carolina, yeah.
South Carolina, yeah.
So for people who are listening and can't see these visuals right now, we are looking at a picture of, it looks like about, 50 inmates with their groups scattered amongst them, all with their hands up, giving a little wave. So they all look pretty happy and pretty stoked that you guys are there. And obviously the pictures before, the ones that we just looked at, they were the ones when you first got there, and they, guys look a little more shy, but in these last pictures, I guess you guys have been there for a few days, and they look pretty thrilled to have some outside contact other than just each other, right? So
yeah, and it's an incredible program. It's called Hustle 2.0, and Kat Hoke is this another powerhouse woman that facilitates these in prisons all over the United States, helping to prepare inmates if they ever do get out, because most of them are lifers, for the outside world in entrepreneurship, starting up their own little businesses, and a food truck, whatever, something just to break the cycle. And it was a very humbling, incredible experience, and it was so nice. And Oksana has a huge heart, and it was just so nice that she was there with us all together as a group. And
as we learned, even those lifers, the presence of us being there, they influence people, the new people that come in. They're the elders, and if they don't get their mindset fixed and being reoriented in the good, even though they have no opportunity to get out of prison, they actually have tremendous influence on all the youngsters that come there, and they can be role models inside the prison. It's just inside out revolution. So it's very important to not dismiss it just because they're there for life. There's no hope for them. Well, they can change lives of many other people that come in and influence them to change.
Absolutely. And the ones that were with us, I honestly believe that they wanted to change. The ones that were in our section, in our group, they honestly did want to change and mentor the new people coming in, because their path, their history, some of the stories were so horrible, the things that happened to them that brought them to that point. It could be any one of us in there if we were born into what they were born in. So it was a very humbling experience, and it was so nice to have Oksana there with us. So I put up a little slide here. This is your company, Satfami. I don't know, is that how you pronounce it? How do you pronounce it?
Satfami.
Satfami. And mindfulness at work. So mindfulness at work in your businesses. You can come and, well, when we're through this pandemic here, work inside your businesses, and also in online. You do a lot of online work as well. And yeah.
So now everything is online, and it's actually for the employee base is mental wellness right now. So
yeah,
mental wellness and everything is online but live, just like we're interacting. So there is no recording.
Exactly. That's great. Anything else you'd like to say there, Oksana? It's been wonderful having you on, and I know we could talk for hours, but I know you have to get going. So, any other questions that Dev has?
I just want to express my gratitude to you, because I know how much good that you have done and continue to do in the world through Panchamama Alliance, through your AquaGuard companies, through influencing the environment and the movements, and just through your presence of that
thank you.
calmness and support for many young people, and all the initiatives that you do to support the homeless and actually getting them out of the homelessness. So there's I've read your book, and there's tremendous respect, love, and admiration for what you do. And David been following on social media a lot of his beginnings and journeys and adventures, and I could see that he's to a good start and in a good path. So seeing you together as not only the family unit, but the two strong, beautiful men that have grander purposes in life than just material achievement of type A personalities. That's very rewarding to see. So
thank you. Thank you so much. And it's so nice that thank you so much. The reason that Devin and I we decided to do this is because we are so fortunate to have met so many amazing people around the world that are doing incredible things and making massive changes in huge ways, small ways, whatever it is. We all of us together, we do make a difference. I really believe that, because I know sometimes we feel a little bit down. We don't think we're doing enough. And whatever we're doing, do we really think it makes a change in the world? But collectively, like the story of the cutter ants all carrying their little piece of leaf back to the nest, is that collectively we do make a difference in the world. And that's why it's so cool to highlight people like yourself that are doing this really cool work. And like you said, it's really neat having Devin, because we're a bit of an intergenerational group here, which is fun. But what I've really noticed over the past couple of years, is the power of women. Women in these positions. We're probably going to be interviewing more women than men, because there's so many cool women that are doing amazing things in the world to make our world a better place for all life. And so it's just a riot. And thank you so much, Oksana, for being on our show today.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
All right, that is a wrap on our show for today. Thank you guys all so much for coming out and listening. Our amazing guest, Oksana, and check out her book. It is in stores, Next Level You. I'm sure you can also find it online. We'll put all the links in the description of the video. And is there anything else? Any other final little things you would like to say, Oksana? Anything you got going on that you want the people to know about?
Well, the invitation to connect. I always extend my both arms and say anything that resonated or what we were talking today, anybody that's curious about the work for themselves or for others, anybody who is stressed, lonely, overwhelmed, overworked right now, reach out. Let's have a conversation. There are plenty of ways to connect, and I'm very responsive. And so you will share the website, satva.me, all my social media. I'm pretty much an open book. And I'm always amazed how few people take me on this offer and invitation. So maybe today would be you. So let's connect.
Today'll be the day.
Grow together.
Sounds good.
And when the border opens up, we're going to see you up here in Vancouver. We're going to get together.
I will hunt you down. I don't even know your address. I'll find it.
Yeah. Fantastic. Thanks, Oksana.
Thank you so much, guys. Appreciate you.
Have a good rest of your day.